Good evening. I am the president of the Board of Appeals of Zoning. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Appeals of Zoning. The board is composed of 6 private citizens appointed by the City Council. I hope that everybody introduces themselves, starting with
Edna Jones-Webb.
George Bush.
Bruce Gale.
Dave Helpap.
Nancy Borchard.
The function of the board is to provide zoning flexibility. The action of the board can be an interpretation, which involves an interpretation of the zoning code, text, or zoning district boundary, or a variance, which is an appeal to vary from the strict application of the zoning code. The meeting is tape recorded. It is important that only one person speak at a time in the audience, observe respect for the speaker. When the appeal in which you are interested is called, please come forward to the podium and allow the board a moment to review the material while you give your name, address to the secretary. After the appellate's presentation, anyone interested in the appeal may come forward. Give his or her name, address to the secretary. Please make your comments brief and to the point. All questions should be directed to the board and not to the applicant. The board will discuss the appeal, vote, and continue to the next appeal. We only have the one tonight. An affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board, 4 votes, shall be necessary to decide in favor of the appeal. The action of the board is final. The only relief is through the court. Are there any questions? If there are none, the secretary will call roll in the first appeal.
We've already done roll.
Okay. Would we read the minutes from last month's meeting?
I make a recommendation minutes be accepted as written.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. The agenda for the meeting is set, so new business, the case J180027, public hearing for a variance request to allow accessory building without a main structure and in excess of the size requirements at 2137 Ledyard.
Give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Robert McDuffie. I reside at 2127 Ledyard, Saginaw, Michigan, 48601.
Okay. I see you're asking for a variance with basically a hothouse? Is that what we?
Pool house or high tunnel?
Tunnel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Could you explain to us what your need would be, why you need it, and then the difference in this urban, you spoke in the minutes we got, urban gardening
yes,
in the city?
yes,
I guess it's a federal,
yes.
okay. Is this property right next to your home?
No, it's not. It's
Where
one,
it's at?
one house away.
2 houses away, yeah.
Okay, 2 houses away, yeah.
Robert, why don't you explain a little bit about what you want to do and
Okay.
why you think you need the hoop house?
Well, I'm requesting this variance because the USDA has put together a substantial amount under the Farm Bill, primarily for beginning farmers and ranchers. And they have directed a lot of that money towards minorities and socially disadvantaged people. As I noted in my response, or my request, that the Farm Bill for USDA has put just an enormous amount of money. Can I bring this?
You have
Yeah, just,
material for us?
yeah, you can just take the front page. It kind of gives us a synopsis of the kind of money that they are investing in.
Okay, we have this. I believe we do. Yep, we do have this.
Well, that's the kind of money from USDA that they're putting into it. And again, the focus has been on socially disadvantaged individuals, which is women and minorities. So far, Flint has 30, Detroit has 40. In the city plan that was put together some time ago, urban gardening and farming was, gave a big support for the city. The city of Saginaw and the state of Michigan at one time was an industrial state, but that has changed. It's back to being an agricultural state. And the federal government has recognized that, and they begin to put a substantial amount of money into urban gardening. And not only that, Saginaw is considered a food desert.
A what?
Food desert. They have no grocery stores within the city of Saginaw. That's defined as a food desert. Kroger's moved out.
They have one,
Which one is that?
Giant,
Who?
Giant Food.
Well, yeah, Giant on the other side of the bridge there.
On Sheridan.
Oh, yeah, well, that one could possibly count. I'd have to really look again at the definition because they do have a thing on the USDA. And at one point, not counting that one, Saginaw had been declared by the USDA to be a food desert. And one store for the population we have, it would probably still be a food desert. So what I'm attempting to do is to start off some programs in the community for urban farming. We have a ton of land, weeds everywhere. And an idea like this with the bagging of the USDA, we could begin to take advantage of cutting some of them lots and putting vegetables on them. I've already started a couple of lots. A lot of people are now getting involved. That's why I made the request, because I think that if we could basically get one going, and a lot of people come to talk about it. Most of the neighbors who they sent the stuff to talk to me about it, the little green card. But, it's something that I'd like to get going because it'll be good for the city and good for the community.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. McDuffie?
I have a concern. Where you want to place this is in the R1 area. And I've seen community gardens on East Genesee.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them around 14th Street.
Right.
And there'd be 2 or 3 lots that are vacant, and that would be more accommodated to your need, because the size of the, what'd you call it?
High tunnel is what they
Yeah,
refer to it.
size
It's
of
an
the greenhouse.
initiative of high tunnel.
And the size of the lot size that you want to put it on, it doesn't gel. And then the location to me doesn't gel, because all of those nice houses on that street,
Well, ma'am, I live on that street.
Yeah,
And those houses are not very nice. I went up to Gaylord.
Well-
Those are nice houses. I went to Frankenmuth. Those are nice houses.
well, what I'm saying is I went up on Google the other day and looked at your whole block and looked at the surrounding blocks. The houses are kept well. They're not no $200,000 or $500,000
Right,
house.
right.
But they're kept well.
Right.
Your neighborhood's kept well.
Right.
There's no trash out anywhere, and it's got a pretty good quality of life. But what I'm saying is, the size of the hothouse, or whatever you call it,
Yes,
the
high
tunnel,
tunnel.
it doesn't accommodate
No, it don't.
the lot that you want to put it on, so, and I think it's an excellent concept for Saginaw. And maybe if you found some lot sizes, maybe 2 or 3 together, where you could put everything and have it under one,
I'd like to respond to that because in Mike's first letter to me, he told me that I could talk to the railroad people because it's zoned properly, move it to the little lot in the black, and it's beautiful. There's plenty of groundhogs, a lot of trees, and a lot of trash in that area. If
In back of you by the railroad track.
Yes.
And that's zoned M1.
Yes.
That's manufacturing one. You're an R1.
Yeah, I know, but that, Mike suggested that, and I did contact the railroad. They're willing to sell it. I'm willing to buy it. But the money I put into that lot buying compost, where I'm trying to put it, serves me best, because I've got, $300 worth of compost. If you don't decide to grant me the variance, yes, I'm going to buy the railroad, and it's gonna cost me a lot more money. So, yeah, I agree, but yes, I could put it, and the USDA has said that I cannot use a lease, that I would have to buy it. And I am willing to buy it if I can't put it where it is, which I think is the best place. The other advantage that that lot would offer me in the back, technologically, east to west is the best placement for the idea of the sun. So, yes, I have some options, but right now I had
Could you plant a smaller garden there now?
well, I got a
With the
small
compost?
garden there now, and I really could, the guy at the USDA said I really could reduce the size. They don't mind whether it's 20 by 40. The size is not really an issue, but I wanted 30 by 70 because that would accommodate a larger space. The lot, like I said, I've already put a lot of compost on it. I have a water unit put in there by the city for $350. I've got water. If I put it back where the railroad is, I'll have to extend the pipes, but that's okay. The idea here is just, I have prepared that lot over the past 5 years with compost. It is the
But
soil.
would you compare when you were bringing it up to your specifications, did you consider that it might not meet the size?
No, I had no idea that the USDA had high hoops to give to minorities. I had no idea. I just happened to run into
What I'm
it.
saying, Mr. McDuffie, is it's a small lot. It's a small lot.
Well, it'll accommodate a 30 by 70 with room left.
And then too, you're running into variance discrepancies in 3 different areas of the state statute, not just in one. So what you might consider as a good location, might not be able to consider it as a location because that would just lead to other people coming in here, and if they had a lot next to them and they wanted to do the same thing,
Well, I don't know about that, because if as much money as the USDA had, they could bring 100 of them in because it would do the community good. We
Do you
produce.
think you could find some more lots that are
Look,
suitable?
the railroad, I have an approved deal with the railroad. If it happened not to be able to put it on the land prepared, I'll buy the railroad land and put it up. But I asked for the variance because I thought it was the most convenient. The lot has the best soil, and so I thought I'd put it there. And again, this USDA high tunnel, you can do one a year.
I have a
Anybody can do
question.
one a year.
If he goes on the M1 property, will he still have to seek a variance for farming on it?
My interpretation is no, because under M1, it does say something about raw food processing. So I believe that would cover the growing of crops in a hoop house.
I have some of the same concerns as far as the size
Yes.
of this. I did drive by your home and the garden that you have, very prolific, by the way. Your crops are really growing, your
Look,
plants.
people come by there and they sure appreciate that garden.
Yeah.
They really do.
I noticed when I drove by, though, the tractor was sitting out almost to the road between, is that normally where you have your tractor, where you keep it?
That John Deere? Not necessarily. I keep it, and for example, if the high tunnel goes up, I can put it in the high tunnel. You can drive a tractor into these high tunnels, they're so big.
Well, but even if you didn't have this, is that the normal space that you
No,
park it? Oh,
no,
it's usually
no.
back further in your
Yeah,
property?
I
or-
park it in the garden. I take it out to use it, as a matter of fact. I probably was gonna use it that day.
Well, the other concern that I have, not only with the size, but this one article talks about, the water runoff.
Right.
And I wonder, would that cause a problem with this, they call it ponding or pooling, with stagnant water and then mosquitoes and being bred if it wasn't taken care of?
No, they, the USDA Farm Service Agency will guide us through the setup. They won't allow that. That's a violation of their rules.
Right, and I understand that, but if we have a big storm and there's lots of water puddling around that area, how would you take care of that?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, if you walk closer under them bushes and stuff over there, it's a stream that runs through there. It's a habitat. A lot of animals back up in there, a lot of bush, a lot of branches, a lot of everything, a lot of couches, a lot of garbage. But water runoff is usually in the rear of those houses. No one has ever had a flood.
Well, again, I appreciate the comments, that the size of it, if I were a neighbor on either one of the sides of that garden, I'm not sure that I would want to look out my window and see that.
Yes, but here's the point. No neighbor in that neighborhood, everybody likes to eat out of that garden, and even though you may not like it, they like it a whole lot.
Well, thank you.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that the size of the land and the size of the hothouse you want to put on it, it doesn't accommodate that area.
But we can do 20 by 30. You know, that's not a really, you know, because I can put a smaller greenhouse house up there. Next year, put the rest of it on the land in the back of the railroad. Or if it's not, you know, accepted tonight, then I guess what I'll do is I'll buy the railroad and put it up on the railroad.
If you did that, would you continue to use the land you're gardening now as a
Yes.
garden in the
Yes.
spring?
Oh, heck, yeah. Oh, yeah. That has, 5 years
You
of
put
compost.
the money into the ground,
Yeah.
I can tell that,
5 years of compost.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the best there is, even on the corner.
Any other questions from Mr. Mayor? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Would anybody else like to speak on this issue? Is there anybody else in the area that would like to speak on this issue? Do we have anybody in attendance that would like to speak on this issue? Okay. Do I have any
Well, I'd move,
discussion?
well, I'd make a motion first.
Right.
Oh, we're gonna have a motion before a discussion? Okay, fine.
And I'd move that the, Mr. McDuffie's request for a variance be granted.
Do I have a second?
Who was the motion? Who was the motion?
Who?
I didn't hear it.
Oh,
Made.
granted.
Be granted.
Yeah.
Now discussion.
No, I second. Oh, you need
Right, I heard him second. Now,
discussion.
now discussion.
My only comment is that there's 3 major state issues, state statute. And it just doesn't.
State or local?
The state,
State.
its own
Okay.
statute, 153.
Yep,
and
That's
some
the
of-
city
Yeah.
that's a city.
Oh, that's city, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
It
those are
doesn't,
city.
it doesn't accommodate, it's not gonna fit in the lot size, period. And I feel like if he does have a deal with the railroad company, maybe he'll be better off getting the right size lot in the right size hothouse to accommodate it, his needs. I think the idea is just fabulous, you know,
Okay.
and And like I said, he does have a nice neighborhood. It's clean and well kept.
Okay. What if he downsized his request? Would you go along with that?
No, because,
He's put a lot of money into that property so
and he's
far.
farmed off the property.
Yeah.
Already.
Yep.
But the lot size, you have to, there's 3 different areas. If you read, the opinions we got, or suggested opinions, there's 3 different areas that he's not in compliance with this. And if he goes to the railroad, I'm sure he'll have the necessary land to do whatever the compliance issue might have been for our R1 neighborhood.
I understand what you're saying. Let's realistically look at, he has invested 5 years on that property. He's gonna have to do that 5 years on the same property in the railroad. He is still gonna utilize that property. That's why I asked that question. But
He's farmed
realistically,
5 years on that property.
on that property, right. At this point, he would have to put in a lot more effort on the railroad property to bring it up to the same standards that the property he's requesting. That's what I'm,
And at this point, he could get an urban grant for funding.
I understand. I also understand what farmers make.
He's
My,
not a
my,
farmer.
my wife grew up on a farm, and they had to get assistance in food all year long, and it wasn't like you got assistance in food now, you know.
Well,
I'm very, I understand farming.
I'm in total agreement with the concept
Yep,
and everything, but if you look at the statutes we're up against,
okay.
it's like, it's not gonna fit, number one, you know?
That's
And
why
number
I
two,
offered the
This is an
variance.
R1, generally an R1 neighborhood, and it's well kept, you know? And if he moves it back, if he's got a negotiation with the railroad company, and he gets there in the back, I think it would be better suited for the community.
Okay.
And I agree, I mean, I applaud him for doing what he's doing, and the garden is very lovely. When I went by,
Right.
there's a lot of plants and they're all growing. But it says right here that that building would be twice the size of any house on the block.
Right.
It's not large enough, it's not a large enough space for that thing to be erected, I feel.
Follow what I was saying with the variance. That is what I'm asking now. Could we bring up another motion with a variance in size? That's where I'm at.
Well, like Ms. Webb says, there's also no building on that lot, and he does not intend to put one on it, so that's the first rule, or the first law that would be not there. And then the third one is, it would cover 60% of the non-required rear yard, which is good, but it would not meet the requirements. So I think that's an admirable thing that he's doing, and he's put a lot of work into it, but when you have 3 major hurdles here to cross, I don't think that that's the place for it.
Okay, I see that with a variance, he's not gonna be in all 3. That's what I was getting at. And obviously, nobody likes that idea, so we now have had a discussion. Do we vote on the motion? Call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Whoops.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty brutal.
Trump was around.
Okay, any old business that needs to be brought up?
I'm sorry, Mr. Helpap, how did you vote?
Yay.
Okay.
You want a roll
No.
call on the vote?
What's that?
You want a roll call on the vote?
No, I got it. That's the only one I
Okay.
didn't hear.
Okay.
Is there any old business? Anything public would like to comment? Let's ask for adjournment then. Do I have a?
So moved.
So moved.
And seconded, it sounds like too.